My name is Dave Butler. I am the Customer Success Manager with Page Optimizer Pro, and today we will be going over the Content Brief tab, the Custom Strategy tab, and when you should use one or the other. First, we'll be going over the Content Brief tab. Here, you can find excellent recommendations covering 4 important sections on your page. This tab will provide you with recommendations on how many keywords to add from a given list of keywords. Think of it like having an SEO expert looking over your shoulder, guiding you through optimization. When using the content brief, you should take a look at the topmost area of this tab first. This is where you can view your score, your recommended target word count, and your recommended section count. It is important to remember that your target word count and section recommendations are not taken into account when giving you a score, though we still encourage you to fulfill these recommendations. For example, by increasing the number of page sections you have, it makes your topic become much clearer and easier to understand for both Google and your users. What is taken into account is the important terms range at the top of each section. As your current count enters the recommended important terms range, your score will increase. A good score inside of the content brief is about 80%. This is where most of our users notice movement for their pages, though we do recommend, if you can, to hit a 100% score. Now, let's go over the sections and how to read them. In the top left of each section, you will find the section title. Next to it, you will find a tooltip explaining what tag that section looks at. For example, the search engine title section here looks at the title tag. To the right of your title, you will also find a radio dial to mark the section as complete or incomplete, a notation button, and a collapse button to get this information out of the way if you don't need it anymore. In addition to the prior mentioned important terms range and current count. Below, you will find a hyperlink which allows you to download that particular section as a .txt file. If you want to download the full content brief, you can do so from the summary section at the top, here. You can download it as an Excel file or as a PDF. Now, let's cover the section's contents. In each section, you will find 3 columns: an important terms column, a current count column, and a term range column. What this tab wants you to do is add the terms from the important terms column up to the recommended range. This increases your current count and thus your score. Something that's important to note is prior editions of the Content Brief tab did not double count. This has since changed in order to keep up with the updates happening in Google. Before, for example, if you added on-page SEO, only on-page SEO would be counted, not on-page SEO and SEO. Now, it's changed. Both of these terms will be counted. It is important to remember as well when using the content brief that the target range column is more like the up to column. For example, if we used 3 uses of the term SEO, then because our target range is 1 to 2, only 2 instances of the term SEO would be counted towards our current count. So, I like to think of it as up to. It wants us to use up to 2 uses of SEO inside of our search engine title. Scrolling down to our subheadings, it wants us to use up to 2 to 11 instances of the term page in our subheadings. With the content brief covered, let's go over the Custom Strategy tab. In the Custom Strategies tab, you will find recommendations given to you based on your exact keyword, your keyword variations, and your LSI terms. While the content brief is perfect for starting out and beginner SEOs, this tab is meant for those who have some SEO expertise. At the top, you can switch to what is known as the Signal strategy from the content brief strategy. Signals is in reference to the recommendations on this tab. The more recommendations you have to implement, the lower your score will be. Keep in mind that all of the recommendations from this tab are based on competitor analysis, so any issues present on your competitors' pages could also show up as a recommendation for you to implement onto yours. This is why it is so important to be experienced when using this tab. we recommend if you see a recommendation that is blatantly incorrect or one you do not have confidence in, that you do not implement that recommendation onto your page. You can download the information on this tab by clicking Download Quick List. A good score when using the signal strategy is going to be about 60%. This is where most of our users movement. Even if you can hit 100% on this tab, however, we don't recommend that you pursue it. This can lead to you chasing the optimization dragon and implementing issues onto your page that you simply do not want. Now, let's go over the strategy and approach section. With strategy, you can edit your recommendations based on a given strategy. As you can see here, the all competitor strategy is based on all of the competitors inside of your competitor list. You can see this list inside of the Advanced Analysis tab. The second is going to be adjusted for your word count. This allows you to adjust the recommendations based on your word count. This is given to you under the assumption that your page is outside of the recommended target word count range by plus or minus 20%. So, for example, let's say that you had a target word count of 1,000 words, but your page had 500 words. That would be a situation where you would consider the adjusted for your word count strategy. You would also consider this if your page instead had 1,500 words, as that is still outside of the recommended plus or minus 20% range. The next strategy is going to be focus competitors. With the focus competitor strategy, you are given recommendations based on your focus competitors' data, exclusively. You can also see these competitors inside of the Advanced Analysis tab. They will be highlighted in blue. After that is going to be highest signal numbers. Highest signal numbers is a very risky strategy. Each signal will be giving you a recommendation based on the highest possible recommendation we can give. To provide an example, this is to say if one of your competitors had 10 instances of their exact keyword inside of their title, then it would be recommended for you to add 10 exact keywords to your title. You would use this strategy if your page has been stuck for some time and you need it to move, or if you're extremely confident in going on the aggressive. Finally, is the custom strategy. This allows you to create your own custom strategy by selecting different recommendations from all the other strategies. For approach, this can raise or lower the recommendation that you are given to implement onto your page. At regular, this is the standard approach. With conservative, this can somewhat lower your recommendation. So let's say you were recommended to add 10 exact keywords into your subheadings. This can lower that from 10 down to 7 or 6. Aggressive increases the recommendations. We recommend using this if your page is stuck or if you are in an exceptionally competitive niche. And then finally is hyper-aggressive. Hyper-aggressive is your last resort. If you have nothing left to do and nothing left to use, then this is the strategy that you will want to use. Now, let's scroll down and view the recommendations. These recommendations are the quick list. Whenever you select Download Quick List, this is what it's referencing. Each recommendation will have a title. To the left of that title will be a tooltip explaining exactly what tag that particular recommendation is looking at. To the right, you'll see a brief explanation of the recommendation. Scrolling down, you'll be able to see your exact keyword recommendations, your variation recommendations, your LSI recommendations, page structure recommendations, and schema recommendations. When working with this tab, we recommend doing all of your increases first, as this is lower risk than reducing. Once you have done all of your increases, then if you aren't satisfied with the amount of movement that you've gotten, you should reduce. Keep in mind that reducing is risky. If you reduce a count that Google actually likes, then it has the potential to drop your page like a rock. However, it can also benefit your page greatly if you removed something you didn't like, skyrocketing you through the rankings. To summarize this video, if you are an inexperienced SEO, a writer, or simply just starting out, you should use the content brief. These recommendations are far easier to use and they can definitely get you ranking. If you are an experienced SEO and you find yourself in a more competitive niche and you're comfortable with knowing what to do in what situations, then you should use custom strategy. With that, you know everything you need to know in order to choose between the content brief and the custom strategy tab. I hope that this video helped you out, and as always, happy optimizing!